sure that is happening. Recording has started. Okay, here we go. Okay, welcome to our game changer training. I'm doing it online this year because one is if you see Jeff Matthews' screen there, you can already see like there's a bunch of raffle prizes all over the field house. It's getting crowded in there. And I wanted to also do a couple things, do a little more formal with the presentation. Also, be able to record this so folks who can't make it can then hopefully watch it and get what we're getting out of it. For you guys who are participating today, feel free to ask questions. Get familiar with the team stuff. You'll see like little, there's a raise your hand kind of thing you could do if you wanted to. If you have questions, feel free to hit that. Those type of things. So what I'm going to cover today is kind of everything, right? Soup and nuts, how you get set up. Hopefully you guys are there. I'm going to cover considerations with the divisions as far as what we do for scorekeeping. I'm going to cover rules you probably should be aware of as a scorekeeper. And then I'm going to go through some of the setup and orientation of Game Changer itself. And then we're going to get in and practice some actual scenarios. We're going to go and I'm going to give you some scenarios. We'll do it together. And then at the end, I'm going to actually show you some clips from baseball, Major League Baseball, and I want you to score it yourself and see if you got the right result. Up top, I'm kind of working off an iPad here too to kind of demo Game Changer. My iPad's old, so that may crash, and at some point I might change to my phone. Just hang with me. It was stalling on me a little bit. So that's what we're going to do. First off, everybody can see my screen. We're all good. Anybody can't? I see nods. All good. Everybody can hear me well? Okay. Boom, boom. We'll go to the next. All right. So first and foremost, you've probably seen me send this out to you in a few different ways, or if you haven't, hopefully your manager has sent this to you. To be able to score in Game Changer, we have to set you up as a scorekeeper in Sports Connect. So those two systems sync. And when you get set up as a volunteer in Sports Connect, then I allocate you to your team, and then you automatically get allocated as a team staff over to Game Changer. This is important for us in a couple different ways. One, it's super easy and quick to do instead of having to manually add staff. And two, in Game Changer, there's typically a 4 team staff limit. But when we do it through Sports Connect, it's unlimited. So we can have 6 scorekeepers plus 2 league officials, and it'll say on team staff, you have 8 out of 4 spots filled, right? So it bypasses that limit. So we can really have enough league officials and managers and assistant coaches and scorekeepers all kind of in the Game Changer instance and seeing stats. So if you haven't done that yet, please do so. If you don't have the instructions, your manager for sure does, but if you need them again, just ask me. I will send them to you. It takes 2 minutes. You'll know when you got it done right when you see the icon, your team instance, and you'll see staff in the upper left-hand corner. You might see your Game Changer team just because your child is associated with the team. And if it doesn't say staff, you're just kind of automatically imported as a fan. But you need to see staff to score the game. If you don't see that, you'll show up to your game next week and then go sit down and score it, and you will have nothing to do. So make sure you're set up as staff.
Hey, Dan, quick question.
Yep.
Because mine said team manager, didn't give the option for scorekeeper. Will it still give me access to keep score?
It should. I saw you come across as scorekeeper, and I already put you in there. So if you open up Game Changer
on my end, it only says team manager. So I was just making sure I still have that accessibility.
Interesting. You want to be manager? You can be.
No. I just I just did it just because that's my only option.
Okay. No, thanks for that. I saw you come through. I got you allocated. If you open up Game Changer now, you should automatically see. So what happens when I allocate you to Game Changer from Sports Connect? Allocate you in Sports Connect. You should be able to open your Game Changer, and boom, the team is already on your home screen. And you also should see our division roll up with all the teams kind of in there, and I'll walk you through that. Okay, let's just talk about scorekeeping divisions. So we have so many more divisions and so many more scorekeepers to go. And I'm going to talk to you why we scorekeep in some divisions and not others. So all the lowers we don't, right? Anytime it's like kind of a true coach pitch, coaches on there, obviously no umpires, none of that. We're baseball and softball. We start doing our scorekeeping here at the player pitch level and the AA level. It's not mission critical, for the most part. There's one very specific function on the AA level that we have to do it for. For the most part, it's not mission critical because it doesn't really impact what we have to do for All-Stars, right? But we'd like to do it because it gets parents starting to get used to Game Changer, and then when they go up to the division, then they're not so scared of it, and they know what to do, and they get better every year. So it's kind of practice for y'all. If you're a player pitch in AA Scorekeeper right now, I'll talk to you about the one important thing for AA here in a moment. For juniors, majors, AAA on the baseball side, and majors and minors on the softball side, it is critical. If any girl is going to be considered, or boy going to be considered for All-Stars, we have to prove to our district administrator and then on up as our teams potentially progress that they've played the right and requisite amount of games that they're eligible to do. If I don't have a book to show them, then that child could be ineligible for All-Stars. So scorekeeping is super important in the spring. We have to make sure we're keeping a clean book, and we have to make sure we prove like, hey, they played the number of games that are eligible for All-Stars. And it has happened in other leagues where they kept a bad book and kids didn't get to make All-Stars because a manager didn't get their scorekeeper together, and then they were playing games without one, and by the end of the season, it was a mess, right? So thank you all for volunteering. I really appreciate that. And it's super important. So that's why scorekeeping is such a big deal. I've been harassing you with instructions for the past few days. Okay, let's go over what the responsibilities are. If you are the home team and you're the home team scorekeeper, you are the official book, right? Game Changer has switched it. If you guys have done Game Changer with us in the past, we usually have had 2 scorekeepers going at the same time. We've had a visitor and the home team. Game Changer switched it up to how they organize the games. So when you look in Game Changer, we have those organizations. And now when we schedule, they're called head-to-head matchups, and it only requires one scorekeeper to actually do the scorekeeping to keep stats for both games. We can keep a second scorekeeper, and if you so choose to, you can. What I ask is, let's make sure the home team gets in there and starts the scoring first. Anybody who starts scoring after the first person scoring is a secondary stream. It's not counted as official. But what I'm telling you right now is you don't have to do it. According to Game Changer, this should keep stats for everything. Now, I hold out to say, hey, maybe that breaks or Game Changer doesn't have it sold in all the way, and we may have to switch that back later. But for right now, that's how it's been set up, and that's how they've documented it, and that's how they promote it. So really, what we're going to say is to start, home team scorekeeper will be the Game Changer, or running Game Changer, and that's all. That's the only one we have to get going. When you get to the game, we'll have chairs behind home plate. If you're the official book, sit behind home plate. Please don't go sit in the stands. Don't go kind of walk around. You need to go tell the umpire who you are. Say, I am the scorekeeper today. You guys are kind of a team, right? The scorekeeper, the umpire is going to come back to you and ask for pitch counts. They're going to give you substitutions. They're going to talk about how many outs. If the umpire gets mixed up, like, what's your count? I got 2 strikes. Okay, he double checks, he or she, and then there you go. So you guys are kind of a team. So get to know your umpire, and you want to also do that just in case at any point you get behind. Know your umpire's name and say, hey, Bob, like, can I get 2 minutes? I got to catch up here. They'll take a walk to the pitcher, or they'll give you a couple seconds if you need to catch up your scorekeeping. They don't want you to fall behind. Try not to make it a big delay, but they usually can give you a beat if you need it. If you're scoring games on the South Valley Sports Complex fields, basically our fields 1 through 4, we have league iPads available upstairs in the field house. If you know where they are, you can go grab them. If you don't know where they are, you can ask one of our officer of the days, the lanyard, and they can help get you an iPad. You don't have to score on our league iPads. They're just there in case you don't have your own device that you prefer. You can score on your phone. You can score on your own tablet if you like that better. You just have to make sure you have Game Changer logged in and ready to go from there. At the South Valley Sports Complex on fields 1 through 4, since we only have to require one actual official scorekeeper, we're asking the visiting team to please be proactive and operate the scoreboards. We have new scoreboard remotes. They're big. They have a lot of buttons, but the word I heard is they work like a charm. They work much better than the old ones, and they're actually really easy to use. So the officer day will come around and harass the visiting team for somebody to do it. If somebody can be proactive and just operate it, it benefits everybody who's watching the game. If you're scoring games at the juniors field or at the DePoli fields, we do not have iPads available for you guys there. You will have to provide your own device. So whatever you want, phone, tablet, whatever you want to bring. Like I said, just make sure Game Changer is on your device. A huge pro tip is don't do this alone. Please find a buddy, right? Another parent, somebody who can help you watch the game, get a second set of eyes. This is literally the ball is going to go everywhere. They're going to throw it. It's going to be a ground ball to shortstop. It's going to go to first base head. That's going to go to third base head, and then they're going to throw it. It's going to right field. The right fielder's going to try to throw it home, and you're just going to go back and forth, and it's going to be chaos. And and then all of a sudden the next play is going to start, right? So you're going to want to have a second set of eyes. You're going to want to know your umpire if you need a beat to catch up. It will get a little hectic if you're not really attuned to scoring. So find a buddy. The other one is let's make sure you have a backup scorekeeper kind of handy. Devices crash sometimes, so having a single scorekeeper is the only thing that scares me about that. Is an iPad can crash, an OS can crash. If that happens and the book is down, you want to tell the umpire, give me a moment. I need to get this back up, or I got to find somebody else who can pop into Game Changer who has access and can pick up the stream. So hopefully it doesn't happen, but I've seen it happen in games. So just have a backup plan for that. Okay, so some rules. Oh, Stacy, go for it. Let me unmute you. Hold on.
Janet, question. Sorry, I've gotten feedback on my computer.
Yeah, you got a few devices happening. Hold on.
Sorry, can you hear
There
me?
you go. That's better, I think.
Okay. So at DePoli, is there service?
As far as service for like your own device, there should be fine service there. I haven't had problems over there. As far as that, if you are scoring it and you have you don't have great service, it will just be delayed. It will sync later when you get better connection to whatever you score. So if you don't have it happening, then you're not going to miss out. People won't be able to follow around live. It will catch up. You won't lose anything. That makes sense. Okay. Thanks for that question. Okay, so let's talk about division rules you need to know. So in that big email I sent out, if you got that big email from me, I linked the division rules. You can go find them on our website. You want to read through those. You kind of want to get familiar with general Little League rules in general, but the umpire is really there to guide that, and you can ask the umpire a bunch of questions. But to get you guys going, these are the ones I think you need to know. In juniors and in baseball and softball majors this year, we have continuous lineups. So in years past, if you have scored for us before, it was a starter sub situation where two kids would start on the bench, or sorry, three kids would start on the bench and be out of the game completely, and then they'd eventually have to be subbed and then mirrored to those kids who came in. That is gone. So now every player that shows up to the game will be in the lineup as a continuous lineup, right? For majors and juniors, though, we still only have 3 outfielders, so 9 total players in the field. So you'll still have 3 kids out. In Game Changer, they'll be labeled as EH or extra hitter while they're not in the field. For all these divisions, drop strike 3 rule is in effect. If you don't know what that is, that means if you have a 2-strike count and the next pitch, the batter swings, the catcher misses the ball, it's a strike 3, but the catcher didn't catch it. That batter can run to first base, and they are either thrown out from the catcher or they're safe and they get the base. It's still called a strikeout, but the runner remains, right? We'll go through a drop strike 3 scoring situation in a second. For softball majors this year, we have half a season rule. So if you're doing softball majors, all the games in April, we will end the half inning if 3 outs are recorded or 8 runs scored. The reason why we're doing this year is just last year we had some learnings, and softball. If you're on the softball side, pitching is critical and it's not always perfect. And we had some games where the pitching kind of got out of hand, and a 15-run inning would uncork in the first inning, and then and then the next one, a 20-run inning would happen, and it was kind of not a great experience, right? And so we want to make sure like those teams can figure out especially this year with no practices happening, or not to the degree we want. We want them to figure out their pitching and their catching. They have a way to get out of the inning. Come May, we'll go full regular game, right? They have to get 3 outs to get out of that. So we'll remind you guys, come May, in softball majors, that's out of effect. And then we have run rules for these for juniors. For all divisions, it's 10 runs after 4 innings, right? So after 4 innings or 3.5 if the home team's up, if the team is up by 10 runs, the game will be called and the umpire will call it. So be aware of that. In softball majors only, we also employed a 15 after 3, right? Same reasoning, right? There were some games that just kind of got out of hand. There were football scores. There's 28-3, and so we wanted to make sure those games didn't drag on and we can get out of those. For AAA, AA, softball minors, and player pitch, so really our minors divisions, same thing, continuous lineups. The only difference is they have 4 outfielders, so we have 10 total players in the field. I'll show you how you add that in Game Changer. There's a certain setting. No drop strike 3, right? So in that scenario, if the batter swings at strike 3 and the catcher drops it, batter's just out, there's no play, right? They just go back to their dugout. For all these divisions, the half inning is over after 3 outs recorded or 5 runs scored, and that's for the whole season. And there are no run rules, right? There's no 10 after 4 or 15 after 3 because we put those inning caps on there. We just kind of let the innings go and get as many innings as you can doing that way. So one nuance for AA for you guys. This year we're trying to do something new. In AA, it's always the kids learning how to pitch, and we're trying to figure out how do you balance the kids learning how to pitch with the kids hitting the ball and defense is working, right? So for the first 4 games, we're going to pilot something new. And basically the games will start with coach pitch. And the coach pitch is either once through the lineup or maximum 2 innings. So they could get through the whole lineup within that, or they may only get through 6 batters if they're striking out their players. When you go in there, and I'll show you how to do substitutions. You'll have a player in your roster list called coach. You want to put coach in there. The reason is because for AA very specifically, we still have to count pitches. We have pitch count reports. All players in AA have a drop dead 40 pitch limit, right? So if you're putting a kid in there instead of a coach and you're recording against Tommy, but Tommy's not actually pitching, and I run the report and Tommy threw 130 pitches, I'm going to come asking the manager what's up, right? So you'll have a coach designation for when it's coach pitch, and then once a kid comes in, you'll sub that proper kid in. We'll walk through that. Softball minors. Your softball minors scorekeeper. We will allow 3 walks in the inning, and then after 3 walks, in any order, it could be a hit by bat, whatever. It's maximum 3 walks, and it's not by pitcher. It's total for the half inning. Every subsequent 4 ball count and each at bat, the offensive coach will come out and finish the count, right? So basically, we're no more walks after 3 walks in a half inning. So if it goes to 3-1 and the girl pitches ball 4, offensive coach will come out, and now the batter can either only put the ball in play or strike out. That's just so we can get the girls playing, hitting, running, all that kind of stuff. We do not care about pitch counts on the softball side because it's a much more mechanical motion. There are no pitch limits. There's only inning limits. So, and when you're scoring those, I don't need you to sub a coach in. When the coach is pitching, you will keep that to the player. So the player's stats will be a little funky. They'll just get better because the coach will throw strikes. But we're not really concerned about that. Really, pitch count limits are the number one concern. So the stats getting a little funky isn't as big a deal for us. And then softball player pitch, almost the same thing, except there are no walks in softball player pitch. If it's any 4 ball count, the offensive coach will come out and finish that bat, where the girl either puts it in play or strike out. And you can keep that coach in as the pitcher, or keep the girl in as the pitcher when the coach is pitching. Okay, real quick, I'll pause there, see if there's any kind of questions from anybody on that stuff. Yes, Charles. Oh, Charles, it's Annika. Hold on, let me unmute you. Yeah, unmute. I'll unmute you. There you go.
There, can you hear me?
Gotcha. Yep.
Okay. I just had a question about the continuous lineup. So even with the continuous lineup, there's still subs though? Like you still sub?
There will be subs in the field, right? So everybody's in the lineup, nobody's out of the game. But for majors, there'll be 9 minors, there will be 10. And so you'll have a couple players still listed as EH. And what I'll go through lineups and all that stuff and how you do that. But every time a coach does a sub, he'll want to tell you or tell the umpire, depending on which level you're at. Sometimes higher up, the more strict the umpires are, where you're putting guys or girls. And so if you're pulling somebody out, they played shortstop last time, but you got somebody off your bench coming there. You just want to make sure you're plotting them in the right spots. They're all in the game, so you don't have to worry about like doing true substitutions. It's just switching out EHs for position players.
And they can go in for anybody. They're not married to a player, like you said.
They're not married to a player. There's no more mirroring. All that stuff is now gone. So if you had to do that before, thank goodness. And you can do it at any time. So some of the scenarios that might happen is on the baseball side is like, hey, you have somebody struggling pitching. The coach might pull the next pitcher and take one of his bench guys off and swap him. So the guy, like say in right field, can go warm up and he can get warm. And then 2 batters later, he might bring him into pitch and then pull the pitcher out. So there's going to be a lot more fluidity with where the players are playing, but it's, like I said, not true subbing like it was before.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? The rules are there. You can follow up with questions later if you have them. Ask your manager also. They should be very adept on this stuff, so you can be up to speed. But those are the ones I think you should, a scorekeeper should know about. Let's move it on. All right, scoring a game. Before you get scoring a game, you're going to want the number one thing, which is the lineup card, right? I'll show you some examples of lineup cards or how it gets, what you might expect if you've never done it before. But both, hopefully your manager will give you your lineup card ahead of time. You can preset the lineup and have your team in the positions that they need. I wouldn't expect you to get that from the opposing manager. You'll probably get the opposing manager's scorecard right before game time. You can go over and ask for it. Sometimes you won't get it until the umpire plate meeting, but the etiquette's totally fine to go over and find a coach or find a manager from the opposing team. Say, hey, can I get your lineup so I can get it into Game Changer and you're ready to go. Number one, and I'm gonna send a big old reminder about this one to everybody. You need players' uniform numbers in Game Changer. If you go to the roster and you click on a player, there's an edit button and you can add a uniform number there. Umpires don't operate by name, they operate by uniform number. And when you're scoring, you don't always recognize your own players because they got helmets on and uniforms, they all look the same. And also you don't know the other team, right? So you don't know who number 5 is on the other team. You need numbers on those. So if they're not in Game Changer, you're gonna have a real bad time. So I'm gonna send a big reminder out to managers tonight to make sure everybody's getting those in there. But it has to happen, right? And you need those on the lineup cards too. I'll walk you through how to start a game, how to end innings here in a second. Some important considerations for you guys is to consider. Please be diligent on making sure we're subbing our pitchers and our catchers. Kind of, if there's 2 positions you don't mess up, that's those 2, particularly on the baseball side. And it happens every year. Sometimes the scorekeeper scoring, there's a pitching change, and then you start talking to maybe the younger sibling that's running around, or somebody else starts talking to you, and you totally space subbing that pitcher out. And then at the end of the game, you're like, oh my gosh, that starting pitcher has 150 pitches because we forgot to sub that other pitcher out, right? And so we can correct that later, but what happens is we run a league report and then we freak out if that happens. So make sure you're subbing your pitchers, subbing your catchers. There's rules specifically on the baseball side, how much they can and cannot do. And so for scorekeepers, you help us kind of keep that in line, and it's all safety stuff, right? Obviously for softball, same deal. We want that to be clean, but obviously we're not as sensitive on the pitch counts on that, but let's make sure we get our pitchers and catchers done. And then, like I said, if it starts getting kind of hairy with managers moving positions, and I started working on my lineup for Monday, and trying to really get kids not sitting the bench a lot and swapping them in and out, they're going to move positions a lot. So those second set of eyes is really going to help you. Like every half inning, you're like, hey, okay, where's everybody else? Like maybe you have it, but maybe you need a second set of eyes, see who's in the right field, who's in left field, and you can make those swaps in those half inning breaks. So like I said, find a buddy. Some There are specific pitch limits on the baseball side by age. I'm not going to walk through them here, but that's why we have to kind of be sensitive on that. Just know that in the juniors and majors and AAA division, the manager might call out threshold. That's meaning they're coming up on their actual age limit threshold. Nothing for you to do. It's just a courtesy. Meaning like basically let's say like their limit is 75 pitches. They can, if they're at 74 pitches, they can finish the next batter. So say they throw 5 more pitches to the next batter. So long as their first pitch to the last batter is under the threshold, then they can finish that batter. And when I show you the pitch count report, you'll see it records that already in Game Changer. For AA, like I mentioned before, it's a drop dead 40 per pitcher per game. So if you have a pitcher and they've hit 40, I want you to, sometimes the manager, their clicker's off, something's off. I want you to tell the umpire he's done. At 40 pitches, he's got to be pulled and got to go. So be proactive on the AA level. That's a hard rule. We're just trying to get them to learn, and we're trying not to hurt little arms. For the field substitutions, do try to be diligent about it. We do have to track minimum play. Minimum play with continuous lineups is much simpler. Since everybody gets their at bats, it's now 6 defensive outs. It does not have to be in a row. It can be at any point during the game. They just need to be in the field for 6 defensive outs. And so when we go back and audit games, we want to make sure that they are hitting those marks. And then I'll go through ending games. Any questions? Let me show you lineup cards real quick. So here's an example. This is not my team, obviously, of a lineup card you might get. We use these Glover's lineup cards. I don't have a picture of my old one. And this one I just pulled off the internet, but you can kind of see how it's kind of filled out, right? You got player number, name, and position. Position guide is kind of down below in the bottom right. So 8 is center field. In this scenario, they have subs. You won't have subs. It'll be one continuous lineup, like mentioned. If they're not have a position here, you'll see EH scribbled next to their position. So you'll probably get something that looks like this from the opposing manager at a minimum. On the right, this is what I give my scorekeepers. I give them a whole plan. This is basically my game plan. If everything goes right, my pitchers do what they're supposed to do, this is where they'll play, and here we go. The only thing that usually for me as a manager puts us out of whack is my pitcher's no good that day, and I got to get a pitcher in there earlier, right? And then I got to move positions around, and then that's where it gets wild. So usually, if my pitchers do well, I can get them to, I can follow the script, and this at least gives my scorekeepers a heads up. So I send this to my scorekeepers before every game, and if you want something like this from your manager, you should definitely ask for it, because my scorekeepers typically are thankful for it. Stacy kept for me, and I think it helped, right? Chelsea, you have a question?
Hi, Dan. I can't see your scorekeeper screen. I can only see everybody who's on the meeting. I'm on my phone, but I don't know if everybody else can see your scorekeeper screen.
Can everybody else see my
Dan, I'm the
scores?
same way.
I can see it.
Yeah, I only see the scorekeeper example, like the lineup example.
Cool. That's what I want you to see.
I can't see it either.
Yeah, I'm like them. I'm on my phone. I can only see people.
Okay, so maybe if you're only on your phone while doing this, there might be a trick to it. Let me do something. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and reshare. See if that doesn't kick you guys over. 1 second.
I'm on my phone and I can see.
Yeah, I can too. I think you guys just need to swipe one direction and it will take the people and show his screen.
Oh yeah, that'll do it. That should do it.
Oh yeah, that worked. Thank you.
Yeah,
There we go.
that
Thanks.
worked. Sorry.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, team.
And you
Okay.
can zoom in on it too.
Okay, back in business. Okay, awesome. Thanks for raising your hand. Tell me that. I want to make sure you're seeing what I'm seeing, for sure. So this is the score. The 2 examples, like I said, the left is probably what you get from the opposing manager at a minimum. On the right is what I send my managers. I give them kind of a game plan. If your managers do that, then you're good. Some managers won't. So just be aware that some managers might just fill out this scorecard and they're just going to go play the game and go as the game takes them. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, give you a real quick Let's switch around here. So I'm going to walk you through this kind of stuff. I'll give you a quick tour of Game Changer itself, your team instance, and the division notes. So give me a second. I'm actually going to switch devices. Like I said, my iPad might crash. So if that changes, I'll switch to my phone. Let's see here. Should come up in a second. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm gonna have to do this on my phone. Give me 1 second. I was hoping to do it on the iPad view, but we're gonna do it from the phone view. Both are fine. Okay, one more moment. Here we go. All right. I got the oldest iPad, guys. So sorry about that. So I'm gonna open up Game Changer here. And there's gonna be this little screen. I don't know how to get rid of this little guy, so he's gonna be in the way. Everybody see my phone example. All right, so lucky you, your Game Changer won't look like mine. I am a team admin on every team in the league. So I have every really busy screen, but what you should see is at least one of these staff teams, and then you should see your division roll up that looks something like this: AA baseball, AAA, juniors, majors, those kind of things. So real quick, let's take a look at the league roll up. So we'll go to majors here. And it's going to give you your whole list of teams, right? It will keep standings for us automatically on how you score it. Real important note here is if you're a AA scorekeeper or a player pitch scorekeeper, know that we don't care about this. Once again, this is a little bit more for pitch counting on the AA level, and really just kind of getting you guys into the rhythm of scorekeeping. There are no standings in AA. There are no standings in player pitch. Just so you know, like this doesn't mean anything to us. It doesn't impact any kind of postseason seeding. When we load your schedule in here, you'll see all your schedule. It'll be exact same as it is in TeamSnap. It just loaded in here. This is new this year. We'll be able to see stat leaders in the league on batting average and all these kind of different stats they keep. Kind of fun, big deal. All the teams in here, and then you'll see a pitch count tab here. You don't have to do anything with the pitch count tab. We deal with that from a league level. We export that. We put it through a quick spreadsheet, and then we send it out on the baseball side to show who's eligible, who's not eligible to pitch. So you should see that. You see, so there's some icons in here. If your manager goes into their team level, they can actually edit an icon here if they so choose to. Some of the majors guys are having fun with it. Let me find my team. Okay, so once again, when you're on the team level, you'll see your schedule here. You should see your roster. So you can see who our admin are here. These are folks who can score a game. And you can see our players, and you can see even I don't have all my players with their numbers yet. So if you did want to add the number, you just tap the player, and then there's an edit button there, and then you can put a jersey number right in there. So real easy to do, and really more critical than you know to get it done before your first game. We have a video tab here. Know that please do not broadcast games through Game Changer. We don't have a league release for that, for any players consenting to being video recorded. So let's kind of leave that on the table. You'll be able to see stats as stats go, and then kind of the opponents that you'll face. I got a question from Blair.
Yeah, does every scorekeeper need to enter players' numbers on the roster, or if one person, like say the manager, does it, does it get filtered to every other scorekeeper?
Yep, great question. Once it's in once, everybody's gonna get it. So everybody who logs in later will have the team numbers in there. Only has to be done once. The manager, anybody who's on the team staff should be able to do this. But also, I think parents, I believe parents could also do this if they have it down. They can tap on their own player and hit their own player details. What I've done is I've asked all my parents to enter their numbers into TeamSnap, and I'm just grabbing from TeamSnap and entering it into Game Changer as I go. But yeah, one time, that's all you do. Great question. Okay, so that's the lay of the land for this. Now, the number one, if you haven't done a lot of scorekeeping, the number one thing you can do between now and your first game is to turn on the TV, watch a baseball game, and practice scoring. How can you practice scoring? Well, there's a little gear button on the upper right. Click that, and then I want you all to click practice scoring again. So this is where we're going to start practicing some scenarios here. We're going to practice some situations. We're going to go through all that stuff. So if you have that open, please open it, and I'll walk you through kind of the lay of the land once you're in this level. Yeah, first things first, you'll see at the bottom, you'll see a couple tabs in the phone view. It looks a little bit different in the iPad view, but basically the same. Just basically my team and that score tab are combined on the iPad view. If you go to my team, you'll be able to see your lineup and positions. Now in this practice demo, it's already pre-populated. When you get your lineup, you are able to kind of set this from your roster, right? An example of that is like they have 9 people here. So if I needed to add another player, I just add from bench, and then all your guys are preloaded in here, right? So you just start adding in the order that they're batting, right? And away they go. You'll see that the 2 guys I just added are listed as EH, that's extra hitter, that's A-OK. And if you need to edit the order after you set it, you can. Just those 3 little bars, just tap, and then you can drag up. And now Mr. Wong's back and forth. If you need to edit the position, just tap the player, and then I can move Mr. Reynolds to third base. And then now my shortstop is Wong is EH, but I want to match shortstop and back, and I can edit positions that way. You can also do this for opponents, the opponent tab. So when you get their lineup, you can do it from this level. You can also do it as the game progresses. We're not going to kind of demo that today, but as the game progresses, you can add a batter as they're coming up from their pre-listed roster. And then as they're getting in the field, you can also assign them that. If you have a chance to do it before the game, obviously a lot better, saves you a lot of work in the middle of the game. I'm going to add one more player here, Mr. Bots and Mr. Martin, and away we go. So that's your lineups. You'll see also here there's plays, and then he records there, and then you have in-game stats. In-game stats are always handy when you're looking to give a pitch count or something like that to the umpire. You can find it right here on the pitching tab for whoever's done that. The last pitch counts, and there you go. I wish I could write this thing. Okay. So that is kind of the orientation to the basics. One thing you want to pay attention to is menu. We'll come back to some of this stuff, but there's some extra settings in menu here. One thing that I want to point out for everybody in minors, if you're AAA, AA, minors, or player pitch, you notice this is a default to 3 outfielders. If you want to add a 4th outfielder, you just hit menu, and you go to settings, and you add a left, right, center. Then go back and close it, and then now I got 4 outfielders. It's got SF there, it's short for short fielder, that's what they call it. And then you just want to fill it with somebody who's not there. I'm going to put Mr. Bots there, and then there we go. Right, just tap the spot that's not full, and you can just do it. So that's how you get the 4 outfielders, right? And then it will stick like that for the rest of the game. Any questions there? If you have questions, just raise your hand. I'm happy to go through it. So at this point, we have our lineup set, we have the position set, ready to play the game. So let's do that. Let's do a little score keeping together. So I'm gonna walk through a few things. All I want you to do is follow along, push the buttons, and and then score it with me. I'm gonna get to a couple of things where I'm gonna say what happens, and then you score it, and then I'll show you how I think you should score it. So practice time. Here we go. We have nobody on and nobody out. And what you're gonna do, actually, before we do that, hold on, let me back up 1 second. The other menu you got to pay attention to is this pitch menu. So you hit pitch, nothing happens. It just opens up this whole menu. The first layer of it is just basically what's happening between the pitcher and the batter, right? And these are all the scenarios that can happen: ball, strike, foul ball, hit, all that kind of stuff, right? So really, when you're scorekeeping, I just hit that pitch button and I'm just watching every pitch and just tapping what happens. Boom, boom, boom. Once the ball's in play, then this is really the sub menu, ball in play. And the first thing you ask you, well, what kind of hit was it? Was it a ground ball? Was it a hard ground ball, fly ball? All that stuff. We're not talking about what happened to the batter yet. We're just talking about what kind of hit was it. Let's say it was a hard ground ball. And then it starts asking, well, what happened? Is the batter out, or did they reach another way, right? So if it's in red, they're out, some scenario. If it's black, they reached and they got on base and they were safe in some scenario, right? And you want to kind of click through all these just to kind of see what your options are. You'll see batter interference in most of them. You'll see error on all of them. On the pop-ups, you'll see foul and error, those type of things. We'll talk about what an error is and all that stuff here in a second. So you just want to kind of get familiar with these sub-menus, just kind of pop into them, see what your options are, kind of so you know where stuff is, right? Okay. Sorry. So that was the menu I wanted you to kind of get through. Now let's do some scoring. Nobody on, nobody out. Let's say pitcher's starting to pitch. Well, first pitch is a ball. Boom. Next one's a foul ball. Next one's a called strike. And now on the next play, batter hits a ground ball single to left field. Go ahead and score that. I'll show you how you should. And if you're scoring, it would be a ball in play. And it's your judge if it's a hard ground ball or not. We'll call it a hard ground ball. He got a single and it hit the left field. Now, when you get to this screen, it's going to say, where did the ball go and who fielded it? You get a bunch of mitts. And you can drag these around. So if the ground ball came over here, I can grab Mr. Baxter here. He runs over here and boom. Single went to him, it recorded it, and away we go. We'll get in some more scenarios how you work with those little gloves together. It's not that bad. Now we have a runner on first, nobody out. Next batter comes up, we open up our pitch menu. It is going to be next one's a pitch and a swinging strike, and then a ball. And then he gets a hold of one foul. And now he's going to hit a ground ball to second base. The batter's out, but the runner's safe at second. Go ahead and score that. I'll show you what it should look like. So if you're scoring that, you're going to go ball in play. It's a ground ball. Batter's going to be out. And it's going to now give you an option to do out or double play. It wasn't a double play. The batter was just out at first. We're out at first. There's a ground ball to Mr. Yang. Mr. Yang fielded it, and then you'll see I'll tap the first baseman. He ran over to first, and then you can see the little ball go from second to first. And then I hit done, and you'll see Reynolds automatically advance to second for you. So we record the whole play. It was ground ball, throw to first. Now we got one out. Everybody still good? Okay. Next up. Now we have a runner on first, runner on second, one out. Next batter comes up, we're going to say, give him a called strike, foul ball. And then the next pitch is a ball, but the runner steals third. So to do stealing, you have to get out of that pitch menu, right? So tap away from it. And now you're back in the field, and you want to tap the runner and drag him to the next base. And you're going to get an option. Is he safe or is he out? And he was safe. But you'll see you'll get a menu here of what happened. Well, did he steal the base? Did they not care? They just let him have it. Was it a wild pitch or a pass ball? That's how he did, or is there some other fielding error? In this scenario, we're going to say it was a straight stolen base. He's speedy. Let's talk about pass balls and wild pitches real quick. A pass ball is a ball the catcher should and is expected to catch and did not. It's an error on the catcher, right? So right in his mitt, and it's still like got behind him. That's on the catcher. That's a pass ball. A wild pitch is a ball that's thrown that the catcher has no shot at. in the dirt over their head, that's on the pitcher. So just so you have that distinction, that's what you want to go by, right? But in this case, we're saying catcher was fine, stolen base, and there he goes. We have a stolen base. All right, so now we got our batter still up, so we come in here. The very next pitch, let's say he grounds to the pitcher, and the pitcher throws home and gets the runner out. Go ahead and score that. Okay, if you're scoring it, you'd want it to look like this. Ball goes into play. It's a ground ball. The batter's not out, right? Batter's not out. So now what do? Well, that's a fielder's choice. So if you know what a fielder's choice is, it's anytime the fielder makes a different option than trying to get the batter out. It's going to be a fielder's choice. Back to my pitcher. He's going to throw to my catcher. I'm going to hit done. And then it's going to give me an option here, right? My runner is safe. And it's like, was he safe or was he out? Well, we said he got out. Great play at home, saved a run, and he's out. So a fielder's choice was scored. And the hitter does not get a hit in that scenario. It's a over on a fielder's choice. All right, now we got a runner on first. Next guy comes up to bat. Say you got a ball, and then a swinging strike, and then our catcher was too close to the batter. We got catcher's interference. So if you don't know what catcher's interference is, the umpire will say it's basically when the catcher's mitt is in the swing path of the batter, and the bat hits the catcher's mitt or some other part of the catcher while the batter is swinging. The umpire will stop, say catcher's interference, and you'll score at catcher interference, and automatically gives the batter first base. Doesn't happen too much in the upper divisions, but in the lower divisions, you're going to catch it. Some catcher's interference, because those catchers kind of bleed in and out. So you know what that is. So now we get first and second. We should have 2 outs. Yes, we do. And let's get this last guy for this top of the inning. Gets up there, rips a foul, and now, oh man, he hits it to the fence. So he's going to hit a double to the fence, and both runs are going to score. Go ahead and score that. Okay, and if you're scoring that, you'd hit a fly ball, ball in play, fly ball. As a double, he hit over my guy Jackson's head. So it's going to automatically score 1, right? He is safe. But we're saying in that play, Wong made it around 2. So I'm going to grab him and drag him home. And he was safe. And they're like, well, how was he safe? Did he steal the base? Whatever. And probably, we're saying this scenario, this was on the last play. It was just on the hit. Now, he could score on the throw, say like Jackson threw it to the wrong base, and that allowed him to advance. Then you could say it was on the throw. But if he was still running on the hit, and you say it was on the last play, he scored 2 runs in. And then we'll get one more batter up here. We're going to put a ball in play, and let's say he pops it out, and it's going to say batter out, and it's going to give you a pop out or a pop out foul. Just a nuance. Let's say he popped out foul. Our catcher came over and caught it. Boom. And now we got 3 outs. So now you're going to get this menu that turns over the inning. It's like, this all look good, accept and switch. You'll hit accept and switch, and now we go to the bottom of the inning. You'll see in the AAA example that we need to fill this 4th fielder. So let's go ahead and tap that and put Mr. Ashton in. There he is. And let's do one more half inning and get a few more scenarios if you're hanging with me. All right, nobody on, nobody out. Next, Santos is pitching. Let's get a batter up there. Say it's a foul ball. We get a called strike. Now we have a line drive single to right field. Go ahead and score that. So if you're doing that, it's ball in play. You have a line drive option. It's a single, and you hit it to Mr. Vivek over here. Nice hit. All right, now we got runner on first, nobody out. Next guy comes up. Let's go swing and strike. ball one, foul ball. Now we have another line drive. This one hit to the shortstop. Shortstop catches it, throws to first base to get the other guy. Score that. If you were scoring that, it would look something like this. Ball in play, line drive. So in this scenario, it gets a little backwards, right? Because it's a double play. Well, the first guy that got out was the lead runner, but it's not going to ask you that. It's going to, did the batter get out? Yeah, the batter got out. And then it's like, oh, well, here's how the scenario is the batter got out. This one was a double play. So we're going to say line drive to Wong. Wong then came over and threw it to Parker, and then done, and both guys are gone. Now we have 2 outs. All right, we're going to get a little more tricky on you. 2 out, nobody on. Let's get the next batter up, say get a called strike and a ball, a few of those. And now we're going to go ground ball to third base. The third baseman throws it over the first baseman's head, and then the runner or the batter ends up advancing to second on the air. All right. We'll see how that one was scored. We got a ball in play, a ground ball, and then nobody got out, so we had an error. Error goes to Reynolds, right? So it goes to Reynolds, but then he makes a bad throw to Parker. Boom, right? So I've made that throw. Now when I hit done, it's going to say, who committed the error? Well, my third baseman airmailed it. So he committed the error. So he goes there. By default, it only gives him that base, but he ended up advancing. So I got to drag him to second base, and he is safe. And it's going to say, how did he get there? Was it another error? Was it a new throwing error and a different error? Fielder's choice, yada, yada. In this scenario, it got there because of the same throwing error. So we say on same error, right? That error gave him first and gave him second. You're going to score plenty of errors. Real quick on errors. Let's not make everything a hit, and let's not make everything an error, right? The general rule of thumb is if you think that player should have and had a good attempt at the play, and they boot it, it gets between their legs, give them an error. Don't give the kid a hit. If it's a hard hit ball right by him, it's your call. You know, it's Little League, so if you want to give him a hit on that one, if it's just like 2 steps to the left, but he gets a glove on it, that's not an error. That's a good effort hit, you know. I'll show you a scenario where a player, it gets hit right to the player, but it's called a single just because it's hard hit out. Had no chance of actually feeling it. So, you know, drop pop flies, drop fly balls, that's pretty easy to catch. It's usually the ground balls that get a little critical. I'd say if they're within a step or 2 and they should have made the play, and it comes off the glove or they just missed it, that's an error. If it's more than that, then you probably want to default to a hit. Okay, so now we have 2 outs and a runner on first and second. Second. This for our majors managers, this one's going to be for you. We're going to get called strike, swing and miss, and now you'll see when I did that, drop third strike appeared, right? So I undo that real quick, and I go back one, right? Once I go swing and miss, you'll see drop third strike appears in the menu, just so you're aware. So the next play is batter swings and misses and reaches in first base from a drop third strike. Score that. Batter swing and miss. This is for our majors. If you're minors, this won't happen for you. But majors or juniors, swung and miss, a drop third strike, and reached first. So to score that, you go drop third strike. You can say, was it looking or swinging? It was swinging. What happened? Were they out? Did the catcher throw down to first and get him out? Or did you get the other runner out? Or did they reach on a wild pitch or pass ball? We'll say they reached first on a pass ball. And then you just tap your catcher, and now we got first and third. So that's drop third strike. All right. Now that rattled my pitcher. Santos isn't happy, but he's upset. That was the third out. He throws a big old cookie out there, and let's give this guy a fly ball in the park home run. Oh man, it went right over Ashton's head, and around they go, Little League style, and that's 3 runs. I'm the manager. I got to get him out of there. So let's sub our pitcher. Sub your pitcher. Just tap him. Boop. Figure out who you want to pitch with. So we're gonna see here. We're gonna get Mr. Wong into pitch. We're gonna put our shortstop into pitch. And now when I did that, you'll see shortstop is empty. So I got to fill shortstop. Tap that position, and I'm gonna put Santos there. Tough outing, kid. Sorry about that. So that's how you, really easy, just tap your guys and sub them out to change your positions. Mr. Wong comes in, and just to get us to 5 runs, he's going to have a bad day too. We're going to go fly ball, home run. This guy took it out over left. And then we're going to go, the next guy goes back to back. Just a real rough day for this pitching staff. Home run, he's going to go center. So now you'll see, for our minors, folks, we're at 5 runs. We only have 2 outs. So how do we get out of this? How do we end the scoring? When you're in this scenario, you just click menu, and then you'll see end half inning, right in the middle, end half inning. You can click that, ends the half inning, and away you go. So those are some basic scenarios to do, and I walk through it, and it's kind of slow. But I want to be able to have you guys practice this with watching some clips. So I got some clips prepared for you to watch. I was going to give you different scoring scenarios, and we'll set up the play before, and I'll switch back and forth to my game changer so you can see it. Real quick, let me go back to that real quick. Bring your mind back up. One quick thing, just so you guys can get used to it, and we'll just cover this part real quick. In menu, you'll see manual overrides. So this is like, I got behind, everything got crazy. I just need to get the game caught back up with the right outs and the right inning and the right half. You can, if that happens, say like your phone crashed or something crashed, like you can catch it up here, right? And say you're a couple plays behind if you just can't go back and score it. So you know that's here. There is a big red button that says reset game. Hopefully you never have to use this. You never have to use reset game. If you do that in the middle of the game, the whole thing's lost and it's gone. So you know, and I did that once and it was horrible. But this, you can actually edit scores, outs, all that stuff. So that's there. For our purposes today, because we're in this practice mode, I am going to reset the game so I can clear it back. I didn't go back. We're in the second inning. It doesn't matter. But that's the manual override function. Okay, so let me get you guys a couple of clips here, and you're going to score it, and I'll set you up to do so. Okay, so search. Okay, your first scenario has nobody on, nobody out, so that's exactly what you should have in your practice mode. I'm gonna play the clip. I don't think you'll hear the audio, and I hope it's not too choppy for you. Let me know if you're having trouble watching the clip and scored it. I'll pause it when it's done. So nobody on, nobody out. Here's a play. So go ahead and score that and let me know when you got it done. Okay, and then how to actually score that would be ball in play, line drive, and that's a single, right? It hit the pitcher. The pitcher had no shot at it, right? Like that wasn't a fieldable ball for the pitcher. That was scored a hit in the major leagues. If you scored a hit in little league, hit the pitcher, he's safe. So that's how that one was scored. Okay, let's go to the next clip. Okay, so the next clip does start with a runner on, so you have a runner on, which is perfect. And here is the play. So go ahead and score that one.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
I did not see the play.
Oh, you want me to play it again?
Yeah.
1 second. Back it on up. All right, so you have a runner on first, and here is the play. Hopefully you can see the screen okay. Sharon.
I don't think anybody can see.
I just
now we
reshared.
can see it. Yeah.
Got it? Okay. Yeah, sorry. I'm switching devices here, so thanks for hanging with me on that. Here is the play. All right, everybody saw that play? Switch to my game changer and show you how I score it. So we got a runner on first. That was a ball in play, round ball. Batter was out. It ended up being a double play. I went to my third baseman, who then threw it to my second baseman, who then threw it to my first baseman to complete the double play. They're both out. So hopefully you got that. Okay. Next play. Give me 1 second. Switching back over. So if everybody can see next clip, your setup for this is where you're at, nobody on, and this is where the clip starts. There you go. Okay. Go ahead and score that. Okay. So that was an error, right? Like we're going to call that an error. Couple steps to his left, which should have been a fieldable play. Ball's in play. It's a ground ball. He's not out. Wasn't a single. It's an error. It's an error on our shortstop. So this one I could have showed an example of a major league error. You know, it was a fieldable play. It was something he should have got. There you go. All right. For this next one, I want you to take this runner and let's just move him over to third base. This will be the setup. Just go ahead and move him over to third base. Doesn't matter why. Let's say he just stole the base from first to third. Have your runner at third for the next clip. Switch my sharing. Okay, everybody see the clip screen? Okay, here we go. Runner on third. Okay, score that. All right, if you were scoring that, then you probably wanted to score it like this. We had a ball in play, ground ball. Batter was not out, right? Runner was out, so it's a fielder's choice. From our shortstop, we threw it down to our catcher, and then we hit done. And as I say, was he safe or out? Got him. Good job. Good play. Saved a run. You can go ahead and accept and switch that if that's where you're at. For this next one, let's make sure everybody has a runner on third. So let's just go ahead and if you don't have a runner on third, you can bean the next guy and drag him over the third. Let's make sure we have. Oh, sorry. Undo that. Nobody on. We want nobody on this one. Sorry, I got my clips mixed up. You can go undo, and then you'll have nobody. All right, so nobody on. Here is the play. Give me 1 second to switch. Here we go. Everybody see the clip screen? Cool. Here is the play. Nobody on, and here we go. He's out. Altuve's little legs can never make it. Go ahead and score that for me. And I'll show you how to score it. So in this scenario, there's a ball in play. Batter got out, right? Right, and it was a ground ball. So if you go, but he's not out at first. He got out at third. So this the way this is technically scored is it's a double. He got to second base, safe. He's credited a double. You would give this person a double all the way there, but then he kept going, right? So at this scenario, you just drag him over to third and you go out. And how was he out? He was out on the last play. He got a double, got greedy, tried to make it 3, and he's out on last play. Right? And how did that happen? Well, my left fielder over here threw it to my shortstop, who threw it to my third baseman, and we got him out on the relay. So an inclination sometimes in that is like, oh, just get him out. He's out. Like, but he should be credited a hit. So anytime they get to a base on a hit, if it's they try to stretch a single to a double, they get a single, and then they're out at 2 on the last play. So hopefully that all makes sense for you guys. Right, a couple more and we're done. This next one, real quick, let's go ahead and beat a guy and put him on third base. And on my screen up, just go ahead to the next batter, say hit by pitch, take him to first, and then drag him over the third for whatever reason. So in this one, we want to start with a runner on third base, and I will show you the play. Okay, that's the play. Go ahead and score that.
Didn't see
sorry.
it.
Sorry, let me try that again. Oh my gosh, so many windows, guys. Can you see the clip screen now? And back it up. Here we go. Go ahead and score that one. So that one is a ball in play. It was a line drive. Batter's out. But that was a sac fly, right? Runner scored on the tag up. So it's not a line out and an advancement of the runner. You just say sacrifice fly. Vivek caught it, hit done, and you'll automatically see the runner scores, right? Now, different play, if he catches it and then they throw it in and then the throw goes somewhere else and then he scores. But if he's catching and tagging up, that's a sac fly. You'll see that AAA, majors, juniors levels. You'll get some sac flies in there. Right. Almost done, guys. We got just 3 more clips to practice, you guys. Get you done with this. Okay. For this next scenario, let's beam 3 guys in your game changer. Let's make the bases loaded. Okay. Everybody got your bases loaded? Here is the clip. Now, sorry, let's throw the screen again. And here is the clip. Okay. Go ahead and score that real quick. I got one more after this, guys. So in that one, we have bases loaded. It was a swinging strike, right? Swing and a miss, so you record what the batter did first, but the runner scored, so you would drag him home. And then, well, how did he get home? Well, he got home on a pass ball. All right, so record the pitch first, and then record what the runner did second. Subsequently, all these guys advanced, and you can say on the same pitch. That's how they got them. Okay, one last clip. You guys can make it so you have a runner on first only. Let's go ahead. I'm just going to score this guy. They're on the same pitch. That was a really bad overthrow. All right, and I'm being the next guy, so I got a guy in first. Okay, so guy in first is what you want to start this clip. Here we see the clip screen. All right, here we go. This is the last one. It's a little trickier. Okay, score that one. A lot more going on in that one. Share. Okay. If you were to score that, this is how I would do it. We got a ball in play. Big fly ball. He got a double at least, right? He made 2 bags. So I'm gonna give him a double. He got it over this guy. Now he came around to score. Safe. It was not, it was on basically last play. He was rounding the base, right? Wasn't on a bad throw or throw in the wrong spot. So he got there on the last play. And then this guy tried to stretch it, but he got tagged out. I dragged him over there. And he was out also on the last play. He got caught stealing, wasn't anything else. It was just out on the last play. And then how'd that happen? Well, Ashton came here, threw to his cutoff man, who threw to home, who then threw to my third baseman, and then he's out. So those ones where you get a lot more throws is the ones you're going to really depend on your buddy, right? Get your scored buddy. They're going to be a lifesaver. Don't try to do this alone, especially if you're new at it. But even if you're seasoned, it can get hairy. So there you go with that. So those are the scoring scenarios. So kind of what it showed you is like it takes some practice, watch some games, get your practice guide out. That's going to help you a ton. The only last thing to show you guys is I showed you the manual override piece of that. Hopefully you'll never have to use that. That's just kind of in case of emergency. When you're done with a game, either it'll default after 6th inning the game is over, or if it ends earlier than that, just hit exit game in the menu tab, and it'll ask you if you're done or if you want to save later. If you're done, you're done. Return the iPads, please, if you're at the fields 1 through 4. And if you're on the baseball side, you will get emailed these pitch count reports. You'll see what they look like. Basically gives you who's going to be eligible for the next game and who's not eligible for the next game. And so you can kind of see like, here's your pitcher, here's your players, how many pitches they threw. Once again, that's that last batter first pitch number, right? So it records what was their pitch count on the first pitch of the last batter they faced. And then this report, we put it into an Excel document that calculates how many days rest they need and when their next eligible appearance can be. It's sent to all scorekeepers and all managers. So everybody's aware of who's good, who's bad. If you happen to see your manager or the opposing manager have somebody in their lineup who is not eligible, you should flag it. We don't want to hurt kids. It could be an oversight. 9 times out of 10, it's oversight. But just make sure you kind of just know your upcoming game, who's eligible, who's not eligible. Okay, thanks, guys. That was a little longer than I wanted it to be, but is there any other questions I can answer now?
I have a question, but
yep.
Let's say that crazy play happens, the ball's getting thrown everywhere, you know, kids make errors, just error after error after error, and we can't keep track of it as a scorekeeper. And even if we have our buddy, do we hold the game up, or do we just try to find a way to get past that play? And because I don't feel comfortable like telling the umpire, hey, I can't figure out this app.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't want to stop the game. So
yeah, like if you think you just need a minute, just a quick beat, that's when you can probably ask the umpire for a moment. Like, hey, can you move on? I'm just trying to catch up. And sometimes the umpire will, and sometimes the umpire won't. That's why you want to kind of endear yourself to the umpire. If you're like, no way, that one was crazy, you kind of get to the root of the outcome, right? Runner scored, an out was made, right? And if you don't record every overthrow that happens in this, and there's 7 overthrows in a play, and it is Little League, it will happen, you're okay. Like, get to the root of basically the outcome, which is runners ended up here, and either a run scored or an out was recorded. So yes, don't hold up the game, or don't fall so far behind because you're trying to be immaculate in your scoring. Great question. Any other questions? Okay, guys, I'm gonna send this out to everybody. If you want to rewatch this, you can. Hopefully this was helpful. Like I said, turn on a game, turn your practice portion on in your app, practice. It just helps. It just helps. Especially when you can pause and rewind and figure out what you should have done. And if you have any other questions, let me know. Other than that, you know, the big things to takeaways are: get set up in Sports Connect, make sure you can score games, have a buddy, make sure you're taking care of pitchers and catcher subs, On the baseball side, pitch counts are the most important thing we need to take care of, and do the very best you can. Try to get it going, and meet your other scorekeepers, meet your umpires. Thank you for volunteering. I really appreciate it. And if there's any other questions, just let me know. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Thanks.